Everywhere I am is holy ground, for I walk in God. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for the power and the presence of pure spirit makes my path gentle and easy. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for I live in love. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for the power and the presence of pure spirit makes my path gentle and easy. Gentle, easy, gentle, easy. Everywhere I am is holy ground, and I stand in peace. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for the power and the presence of pure spirit makes my path gentle and easy. Gentle, easy, gentle, easy. Everywhere I am is holy ground. I dance in joy. Everywhere I am is holy ground, for the power and the presence of pure spirit makes my path gentle and easy. Gentle, easy. Gentle, easy.
Please join me in prayer. One life, one divine presence, showing itself as all there is. There is no place, there is no moment where it is not fully present. From the tiniest particle of every cell in our bodies, every body system, to the majesty of the highest mountaintops, and to all beings on this planet and beyond, the Divine One is expressing itself through all of this. And I am one with it. It moves through my body, mind, spirit, and all of my activities. I know this to be true for each one listening, that each one is spirit expressing itself through each one uniquely as love, truth, joy, and peace. There are no duplicates. And from this oneness with the divine, I speak my word for this service, that hearts are open, minds are open to the gifts that are fully given, fully present through the words, the music, the message, the silence, and the sense of community. That each one here receives just what they're looking for. Each one receiving gifts of love. I give great thanks for this knowing that the divine is right where we are always. And I release this word, this prayer, into the law that always manifests and says yes. And so it is. Good morning. I'm Jan Svoboda, a prayer practitioner here at the center. Here is today's affirmation from our Prayers of Wisdom and Vision book. I am a channel for the flow of spiritual goodness. Balance and harmony emerge through me. I experience the unity of life. And so it is.
Hello, and welcome to the Centers for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa virtual Sunday service. My name is Lawrence Edwards, and I am a ministerial intern here at the center. And I extend a very special welcome to you if you are joining us for the first time. I welcome all of you for being here as it reflects your intention and commitment to what is good. For if you see a need for love, thank you for calling that experience to this virtual service. If you see a need for peace, thank you for calling that experience to our virtual service. If you see a need for wisdom and clarity, thank you for calling that experience to our Sunday virtual service. I invite you to visit our website, cslsr.org, where you can find an abundance of information about our classes, our events, workshops, and my favorite, the Affirmative Prayer Library. And also, if you have not filled out your 2021 Given Intention form, like me, you can easily do that on our website. If you would like to donate to our intention of living in a healthy and loving world, you can also do that on our center's website and on the center's Facebook page. I invite you to settle in, to receive the blessing of song and the message that is going to be delivered by Dr. Edward Fu Yun, which I'm confident that is perfect for the here and now.
It always seems there's so much space between where I am and where I'd like to be. And yet when I stop and look around at the good life I have found, I can't help but see here and now I have all that I need. Here and now, this is where I'm meant to be. And somehow, tomorrow come what may, I will be okay as I learn to love here and now. always running half a step behind the image of my life that's in my mind. And yet when I let myself slow down, I see beauty all around, and I'm reminded once again, here and now, I have all that I need. Here and now, this is where I'm meant to be. And somehow, tomorrow come what may, I will be okay as I learn to love. Here and now, I have all that I need. Here and now, this is where I'm meant to be. And somehow, tomorrow come what may, I will be okay as I learn to love. Here and now, here and now, here and now, here and now.
Hello, I am Edward Fillion. Have you been feeling out of sorts, lethargic maybe, lack of focus, concerned, worried? Well, you're not alone. Many people in our nation are struggling with what's going on right now, and it has a kind of draining effect. When I experience that, I use a spiritual practice that, well, it helps me every time, journaling. And that's because when I write my thoughts down on paper, I have to slow my thinking down to the speed of handwriting. I don't even type it. I write it out. Recently, I wrote about the events in the Capitol, and I did eventually commit it to paper using my computer as a statement for our entire movement, and I'd like to read it to you today. My heart has been heavy with the recent social political events and the attempted coup at the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. So much has already been said about these events on January 6th, you know, who caused it and what it means. And although I am not a political expert, I am, like so many of you, a student of metaphysics. And so with you, I know the power of focus and consciousness. And I'm aware of the tendency to withdraw focus and retreat into spiritual practice when the world's events seem overwhelming. However, as students of science of mind, and I am one, I know science of mind has taught me to see that our well-being and socially, spiritually, economically, our well-being is intricately intertwined with the well-being of others through this shared experience we have of the one holy life. Therefore, I cannot and must not imagine that I have no part in our world's events. I must leave no stone unturned in my consciousness when I feel that tendency to flee or separate from the world. What is it, I ask myself, that I feel uncomfortable seeing? Is it the radical disparity between how different groups of demonstrators are responded to? Is it the shock I feel when I realize that we were potentially mere steps away from losing a whole branch of our government? Is it the frustration and dissonance I feel when I encounter denialism that this disparity is real? And what is it that I must do and give my voice to that I haven't yet? And I think it's this. I think it's that the recent attempted coup has highlighted again the disparity between societal responses to race in the United States in a way that makes it impossible to ignore. And it is impossible to ignore the opportunity to challenge the mindset in me and in our culture that denies or is silent about that disparity. I grew up in South Africa during the apartheid regime, during a time when silence was a matter of safety. But not everyone was silent. And the bravery of those who spoke up changed history. And what Nelson Mandela accomplished, why, it's nothing short of a miracle, and it's a testament to the possibility of a peaceful transition. He did it by including everyone and acknowledged his complex feelings about the oppressors and steadfastly keeping his eye on the nation's unity and healing. And unity and healing, why? That is the consciousness that will turn things around and usher in the end of supremacy of every kind. Control and domination of other people, other nations, neighborhoods, cultures. That's the recipe for suffering, not only in the United States, but everywhere and anywhere where one group establishes itself as superior to another. Now, spiritual growth is personal, and we must each investigate our own consciousness, and everyone is going to have to decide for themselves, where do they stand? I stand for inclusivity. I stand for compassion. I stand for religious freedom. I stand for equality and justice and equity. I stand for a world that works for everyone. And it takes courage to declare such things because the world, as it is today, does not seem to support these statements. Yet the declaration matches something inside of our hearts, the urge of divine mind. So my task then is to use my gifts to take a step in the direction of what I stand for, expecting my efforts to be supported and increased in ways that I couldn't imagine, so that I can do more of what is mine to do in the world. Because we have a great deal of work to do as citizens of the planet. And I trust that this work has begun. It begins with the courage to examine our consciousness, take a stand, and plant seeds of truth through prayer, through affirmation, through contemplation, and through words and actions. I wrote down these words from one of my colleagues to remind me. What will I pray for? He wrote. Will I pray for my personal courage, knowing that each of us is being called to stand up for truth and integrity? Will I pray that as I walk this path, I will release all fear and anxiety? My prayers will also acknowledge that regardless of appearances, the presence of the divine exists at the center of all things. I believe that the recognition of this truth is what opens the door to the miraculous. So if you've been feeling distracted and knocked off of your center, you are among friends, and our spiritual practice at the Center for Spiritual Living is to help ourselves and each other to come back to the present moment and to that center. Indeed, that is our topic for this week, here and now. It's about that perfect stillness, the quiet, the peace that is at the center of all being. When I read that topic, I remembered a teaching I once received that it goes like this. Silence is not the absence of noise, and peace is not the absence of the working of the world. In other words, the present moment where silence dwells is not really connected to a location, although a beautiful location, decorated wonderfully, does help. It's not located to anything else other than what is already present in us. Something that is available all of the time. You know, a friend of mine told me that her favorite place to practice being in the present moment and accessing the silence at the center of her being was at the airport. Because there is so much distraction there and so much urgency and so much this and that. She said she walks around and observes, notices herself and others, walking mindfully, slowly, serenely, unhurriedly. And as she walks through, she takes conscious note of her body responses, any tendency for her body to tighten up. And every time she does, she releases that to come to the present moment. I mention that to you because this is a practice for our time right now. So I want to give you some steps, some skills we can develop for coming back to the present moment. Here's the first one. To notice when it's happening. Oh, that's the important one. Notice when it is that I am being knocked off of my center. There are physical cues. My body tenses up. I get a knot in my belly. My eyes furrow. And there are inner cues as well. My thinking gets fast. I call it hot thinking. Fast and hot thinking. I lose the ability to concentrate and to be present. So, if I can notice that it's happening, that is the first most important skill if I use it as a cue to go to the next step. Now, mind you, I can't notice that I'm being knocked off my center and start to berate myself. You know, what is that old saying? You get more with honey than you do with vinegar. So in the moment that I notice I've been knocked off my center, I can congratulate myself. You can do the same. And say, I'm now ready to move to the second skill. And the second skill is this. Well, let me put it in terms of my new dog training that I'm learning. It's very, very important. You may have watched the video last week where you saw my new dog, Quentin, chewing on my hand. And so what I had to do in the gentlest, kindest way is distract him and lead him to do something else. I had to say, leave it, not in a harsh way, but in a kind way, and then distract him and redirect him to something else. Now that's a skill, and it's very useful for these times. The willingness to redirect your mind from whatever it is chewing on to something else. To leave behind the intensity of negative dwelling. It is a skill, and you do, just like my puppy training, have to give yourself something more interesting, more rewarding, or more desirable to get into. You know, one way to interrupt the obsession of the mind on negativity and worry is to actually say, either out loud or silently in your own mind, be here now. Try that with yourself. In moments when you notice, I've been knocked off my center and I'm traveling into the land of worry, say to yourself, be here now. There's something else you can do too. You can do what is called a body scan, which means, like my friend at the airport, going through your body limb by limb and noticing if there is any space, any possibility of relaxing it a little. You know, for me, tension hides in the strangest places. Oh, of course, the obvious ones in my belly. But sometimes it's in my jaw. Sometimes it's in my shoulders. And all of these together are signs that I have been knocked off my center. And as I do the body scan, I mindfully relax. One of the ways that I relax is by breathing, and that is another way that you can give yourself something else to chew on, by observing your breathing. It is really simple. All you do is notice your breathing in, because you have to breathe in. Notice it. And then notice that you're breathing out. And then notice the quality of the breath as it goes in. And notice the quality of the breath as it goes out. And notice the difference in the quality of each breath. This is one of the ways of giving yourself something else. Now, mind you, this is the second step, but it's not the final step, right? There is something more that must happen, that needs to happen, that wants to happen. This is the third step. To use this moment of interruption where you are bringing yourself back to the present moment, to use it as a moment not only of relief, but also of creativity. So now you've redirected your mind to being in the present, to doing a body scan, to breathing. Now what are you going to do? Here's what I suggest. Use your beautiful imagination to think up something good. After all, if you and I are going to future trip, let it at least be a good trip. I'm thinking about a quote that our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, wrote. He says, if we were to attempt to put a finger on any period of time, it would be gone before we could point to it. For yesterday is gone, and tomorrow has not come, and today is rapidly slipping past. Every time I do this work of coming to the here and now, I think of that quote. All I have is this moment with you. Nothing else. All we have ever had is the here and now. This precious moment. So let us yield to it together. Now is not a moment we can trap or even locate. Now is not an event. It's not an outcome. It's not a result. It's a feeling. It's a feeling of being present. It's a feeling of being a witness to something holy that is happening, something so holy that it defies description. And the amazing thing about the present moment of now is that it flees from us when we rush it or when we give our attention to something else. So I'm going to ask you right now to think about what you are going to do with your beautiful attention after this broadcast. How much busyness are you going to let yourself be exposed to? How much social media? How much bad news? How much commentary? Are you going to drop right into it all over again? Or can you give yourself a gift of doing something sacred and holy? Can you just stop for a moment? You see, I am of the opinion that such work is not for you alone. It's for all of us. Can you imagine that pause globally? What a blessing. If you are a person of action, perhaps sitting still is not for you. Well, you and I can still enjoy the present moment in activity, such as a slow, meaningful, mindful, listening conversation with a dear friend or a neighbor. You can do that. Or if you prefer a walk in nature, this is a perfect time to take a walk in nature. Absolutely. Here is something I'd like to close with. It's from The Pathway of the Roses by Christian D. Larson. When I look into the future, I am not anxious about methods or means to carry out what the future moment may demand. When I come to that place, God will be there. The limitless powers of infinite life will be there. The wisdom, the light, and the luminous understanding of my highest spiritual nature will be there. All of me will be there. And the power of my faith to draw upon the limitless for any desire or need will also be there. I know that all things are mine now, and the now that is now is eternal. Again, that's from Christian D. Larson, The Pathway of the Roses. So I'm going to invite you now to join me in a moment of spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. Taking a breath in and noticing that you're breathing and then breathing out. Maybe doing that a few times to give your attention to the breath. Abandoning all else and just breathing. And then perhaps do a mini scan of your body. Is there anywhere that you can bring into play softness and relaxation? And then imagining that these words that I speak are your own, or words very much like them, sounding in your own consciousness. There is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. This is where you identify yourself with it. There is only one moment. That moment is perfect. That moment is the divine, and that moment is here and now, and it is the only one that I have access to. And in it is everything I shall ever need, and from it comes all of the wisdom and the creativity and the knowing for me to do what is mine to do. From this moment, health, harmony, blessings emerge. So settling into this moment of peace, I speak a word of blessing for our nation and its people, for all of its people. I embrace in my thought the entire community of sentient beings. I embrace in this blessing everyone. There is no part of me that withholds blessing from anyone. And in so doing, I, along with you, am realizing my divine center, that peace at the core, that wisdom that speaks through my intuition. I hear that voice. Be still and know I feel that love and its assurance. Come to me, all of you who are heavily laden, and I will give you rest. I feel that peace. So much so that I can say, and when I say I mean we, that I can say, I am healed, I am whole, and all is well. And so it is. I look forward to speaking to you again next week. My blessings to you.
Hello, welcome. My name is Julie Burns, and I am one of your trustees and a prayer practitioner here at the center. Here are some opportunities to participate in our community as the new year begins. 2 more winter classes start this week. Dr. Edwards' fresh look at affirmations and Dr. Kim's discussion of Emma Curtis Hopkins' teaching. To find out more and to register, simply go to our website under the Events and Classes tab. And on the 3rd Sunday of the month, that's today, you're invited to participate in our virtual social hall. Unfortunately, we can't really hug each other there, but nevertheless, it is warm and fuzzy, I promise. Dr. Edward hosts beginning at 1 p.m. Come, join us and find out what's new, get answers to your questions, and enjoy a sense of community. That's 1 p.m. today. You can find details of these and other center opportunities on our website, www.cslsr.org. Small groups continue to meet online, and you can find out more in the online bulletin, which you can download from our website. Next month, Kern Beer brings a 3-Saturday workshop on a very interesting topic, difficult conversations, to the center. Be sure to stay and watch his video describing the workshop. And finally, is there something unsettled in your awareness? Are you seeking a reminder about the truth of who you are? The free, confidential after-service prayer may be just what you need. To receive prayer, leave at the end of this broadcast and go to the special link for after-service prayer. Our prayer practitioners look forward to supporting you in knowing your best and highest good. Thank you again for your presence. It means the world to us.
Hello, this is Kim Kaiser, and I'm a minister here at the center, and I'd like to share with you one of my favorite teachers, a person who has touched my heart. She was a major influence on Ernest Holmes, and she transformed people's sense of spiritual life by bringing it down to truths that they already knew. She would say things like, "It is my soul's nameless expectation that it shall love its life entirely." And she goes on to say that every being agrees with this statement. There's a good for me and I ought to have it. Come find out about her teaching of how this works and how it works in your life. Sign up at Stepping Stones Bookstore. Tuesday night, the 19th at 6 o'clock, we begin the class.
Hi, I'm Kern Berry, founder of the Difficult Conversations Project. I'd like to briefly tell you about the Difficult Conversations workshop and why you might want to participate. I think you'll agree that the state of our country feels increasingly divisive and chaotic. For some, it may even feel like our very democracy is at risk. The Difficult Conversations Project is rooted in the conviction that healing our country begins with healing our relationships. It's a call for all of us to reach across the divide, to build bridges made of positive encounters and increased mutual understanding. The Difficult Conversations workshop offers valuable information and tools for those who want to be such bridge builders. The format is highly interactive. Short segments of content followed by small group conversation, pair work, and personal reflection. I've led this workshop dozens of times with diverse audiences around the country, and each time the feedback has been extraordinarily positive. I'm confident you'll have a similar experience. I hope you'll join me. Thank you.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, loved ones all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin